This episode is powered by PodDecks.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Go Talk podcast. With me, as always, Bryce and Charlton. Linwood is not here today. He is finishing his finals for the semester, so he's not with us today. As always, this episode of the Go Talk podcast is powered by PodDecks. PodDecks are unique interview questions and episode starting prompts in the palm of your hand. So whether you are a new podcaster or an existing broadcaster looking to grow your audience or get more engagement, you're going to want to check out PodDecks.com. Use code GTP2020 for 10% off your first order. So today we're going to be talking about all things NBA offseason and looking ahead to the draft. That is, when's the draft? The
next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday, 18th. So draft's 18th. So we're going to look at that. We're going to talk about some of the trade rumors going on. This free agency class this year sucks. So we won't talk about free agency, but we'll definitely talk about the draft.
Why the oh, Jesus. Okay, my bad.
It does. You said it yourself. It sucks.
What? No. I just seen this post about the Knicks, and I was just reading that.
Yeah, but that's kind of weird, though. That trade for DeMar DeRozan, if he's a free agent, unless he's unrestricted, then you got to trade for him.
It'll probably be a sign and trade for DeMar DeRozan.
Are you talking about?
Yeah, if the Lakers wanted to get him.
Yeah. Before we do that,
okay, go ahead. My bad.
Outline a few things. So NBA and the NBPA, they voted about like a few days ago on how they're going to do the season. So the season starts December 22nd, which means the Lakers and the Heat have 71 days off relative to like teams who didn't make the bubble, who have 9.5 months off. And then
be ready for it.
Bron's probably never going to play like the first week of the season.
Bron's
going to play.
Bron playing.
Bron's going to play. Season's going to be 72 games. They had to adjust the collective bargaining agreement for the season to make it work with a 72-game season. As we mentioned, the draft is on the 18th. Free agency opens on the 21st at 6:01 p.m. or 6 o'clock p.m. Actual free agent signings begin November 22nd at 12:01 a.m. Now that we've done with the logistics, we can go back to what Charlton was saying about DeMar DeRozan. Trade talks happening between the Spurs and the Lakers for a trade between DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Kuzma.
And Danny Green.
Right. So should that trade happen, who would be the winners of that trade, and who would be the losers of that trade?
I mean, first of all, you could say the Lakers. Well, first of all, both teams can kind of win because the Lakers get a third star, and then the Spurs get a young piece, and Danny Green gets to go back to where he won his first ring, rather. But if you get to breaking things down, DeMar DeRozan can't shoot that well, so it's like
that is true.
He's just
all right. LeBron teach him.
Clog up the. He said LeBron go teach him. Then again, LeBron was spanking on Cuz all those times in the East when he was on the Raptors and Brown was on Cavs, respectively. But yeah, I don't know who really wins.
I think the other thing when you're talking about trades, I think one of the things you have to keep in mind for trades is contract. Like, I don't know off the top of my head what DeMar DeRozan's contract is on the Spurs right now. I know he's getting paid like a star because I guess the Spurs would consider him the best player on the team. I don't know. So that's a lot of money to move around. I know that's going to be something to look at. I think the Lakers win this trade overall. Like you said, I mean, both teams. I don't think there's a loser in this trade, right? The Spurs get Danny Green, who is one of the better spot-up shooters in the league, even though he.
Oh, is he? Say no.
I think the Lakers win the trade because depending on where they play Danny, if they move LeBron to the point guard, I mean, I said Danny, DeMar DeRozan. If they
DeMar,
move
yeah.
LeBron to the point guard, then they put DeRozan at the 3, and then 80 wherever he wants to play 4 to 5. That's a nice little trio right there.
That is true. I will say this though. Just thinking about it. If the Lakers keep Rondo, which I imagine that they will, and this trade happens, in my mind, and I know it won't happen, but like in the way that like the starting lineup would look, I could see Rondo starting at point, DeRozan at the 2, LeBron at the 3, AD playing the 4 or the 5, and then whoever.
And then then go bring back Boogie. Look, go bring Boogie back. Or look, let JaVale go and bring back Dwight.
Right, and then you have Dwight at the 5.
Oh, man.
But didn't Rondo say you're already leaving, bro? He's not coming back.
Well, he's not re-signing back. He about to go test free agency.
He's trying to get.
If you don't get no offers he like, then he might as well come back.
Right. The other thing I will say though about this trade is, I think for the Spurs, in a situation where clearly Greg Popovich has less games ahead of him than he does behind him. He's obviously he's getting towards the end of his career in terms of coaching. The Spurs are obviously getting into this point where they're starting to rebuild. I think trading for Kyle Kuzma, he's young. He's not as consistent as many people might hope, but he's young. I think that's a step in the right direction in terms of rebuild for the Spurs. But like you said, Charlton, I don't think there's a clear-cut loser. I don't think there's a clear-cut loser for this trade. As to, this is not basketball related, but like the DeAndre Hopkins trade, for example, from the NFL. Clearly, the Texans lost that trade. They traded DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, very clear.
Right, like it was very clear that there was a loser. I don't think there's necessarily a loser, depending on how you look at it for this trade. The other trades that we were talking about was Russell Westbrook.
Yes.
The Clippers for Paul George. As a Rockets fan, I don't like this trade. From a strictly objective level, I can see how the trade.
You are a Rockets fan.
I am a Rockets fan. I don't like this trade. Not because I want Russ to stay, just because I think there's a potential that you can trade Russ elsewhere and get something better and easier on the pockets. I think. But it's also like really difficult to gauge when you're trading a player for a player, it's a one-on-one thing. That's also just like tough to gauge how that works. What do y'all think? Is that it's apparently it's going to happen.
I think it will happen.
I think
it'll happen tonight. It'll happen
in my head earlier. I was like,
it'll happen tonight.
Yeah, it probably will, but it's like James Harden has never played with an all-star level wing. I mean, Eric Gordon, but he's undersized. So if James Harden, a 3-and-D player that's elevated to somewhere in his stratosphere of play, is they could do some damage. Now the rest of their roster is messed up, but if they can fix it out and have Harden, Paul George, and maybe some shooters, or if they get a better big man, they can do some damage.
So there was my only reservation about Paul George is his playoff play. That's really it. He doesn't have that good of a track record in the playoffs, and so that leaves me for concern. The other thing I will say, and in my mind, and I was going through Bleacher Report and ESPN doing potential trades and stuff. There was a trade for Russell Westbrook to get sent to the Pacers for Malcolm Brogdon and Miles Turner. I think logistically, on a logistic level, in terms of filling out the roster, I think a trade like that makes the most sense. Clearly,
hey, wait, but hear me out though. That's
Yeah.
what I told Charlton. I told him earlier, I was like, you notice how all the other players on the team wanted to start voicing their opinions, but they was waiting for either Westbrook or Harden to say something.
Right.
So Eric Gordon has a problem. PJ Tucker has a problem. I'm saying if they get Paul George and then they find a way to manage to ship off Eric Gordon and PJ Tucker, and at least, let me see. I would say try to go younger. Either try to go younger or get a player that's a tier above those players. So, like, if you trade PJ Tucker, who's an average player, I guess he's good on defense, well, to a certain extent. He's all right on defense, but then he's poor. Like, he's only good in the corner. He's like, your only
I think a guy like Davis Bertans.
Nah, he's a free agent. Plus, he's gonna cost too much.
Yeah, he's gonna cost a bag.
He's gonna cost too much. But if you, this is what I'm thinking.
Idea. See, but if you pitch him an idea, yeah. If you can pitch, well, nah, you can't even trade for him though. Yeah, you can't even trade for him.
Nah,
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying that's what I'm saying as a signing, like just strictly signing a guy. Like, because if you think about it, if I'm not mistaken, Russell's contract is bigger than Paul George's contract. It might not be that much bigger, but I think it is size. I think that's
why Covington's in the deal, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. Yeah, it's so Paul George for Covington, Westbrook, and a 2023 first round.
Right, and then
which is a good pickup too. I ain't gonna lie.
It is. If you also can somehow trade Eric Gordon and PJ Tucker, even if it's for like a guy like I can't really think of someone off the top of my head, but like that's
you talking about like a trade,
right? Like if you can trade Tucker or Gordon for somebody,
like both of them for one player.
No, I mean, if you can trade two guys. See, here's the thing: when you're trading two guys for one, the one guy you're trading for has to be like
worth it.
Right. They have to be tiers better than both of those two guys combined and worth it. I can't think off the top of my head of a reasonable trade where
on the wrong side of 30. So it's like what?
I can't think of a trade where you go, you can trade Eric Gordon and PJ Tucker to this team and get a guy back and it's worth it. I mean, the only guy I can think of all the top of my head is like, I don't know, Draymond Green, but that wouldn't happen. Like, just I'm thinking like all like when you think about like positions and stuff.
Draymond. They said Draymond about to get shipped off to a third team for Kevin Love. The Warriors will be getting Kevin Love, and Draymond will be getting shipped off to a third team now.
So the Warriors are trying to do a 3-team trade.
Yeah, and I think if the Clippers get this one to go through, I don't think they'll stop. I think they'll make another one with that first pick. There's no way they'll.
That is true. I will say this though.
They'll probably try to get a point guard upgrade then.
Who?
The Clippers.
Oh no. We're talking about the Warriors.
I will say about that, and I was thinking about this last night because I think if you get in a situation where the Warriors and the Cavs are in a three-team trade type of situation, I think it is possible that their picks for this season could be involved. More so Golden State's pick than the Cavs pick. I don't think the Cavs will give up their pick. I think if Golden State's front office thinks it's worth it, I think they could trade the second pick.
Or it might be to lure Giannis because Draymond is not an offensive player. So if you get Kevin Love, you can ship off the second pick, Andrew Wiggins and Kevin Love for Giannis.
And if you look at just the mock, and basketball mock drafts are typically more reliable than football because there's always a lot of moving parts with football and a lot of just dumb front offices in football. When you look at like the mock, right now the mock draft, the Cavs have the 5th pick and they're projected to pick Tyrese Halliburton from Ohio State. If they somehow get the second pick too in a 3-team trade situation with the Warriors and they also draft James Wiseman, I think.
Who drafted James Wiseman?
Right now, the Warriors have the 7th, and James Wiseman is projected.
No, he's saying if the Warriors got the second.
If the Warriors give up their second pick in next week, okay, shut up. if the Warriors give up their pick in next week's draft
You said that.
in this situation and give it to the Cavs, I mean, the Cavs getting 2 top 5 picks, one of them being James Wiseman. I think
they wouldn't take James Wiseman if they re-sign Andre Drummond.
Yeah, you forgot about him, didn't you?
I did forget about Andre Drummond. I did, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, bro. It's kind of a risky thing. It's not even risky, but do you think? Okay, now here's another question to develop on that.
Right.
Let's just
Let's take Denny.
I mean, they could
Not
also
even
like
that.
Anthony Edwards.
No, but what if they traded for that pick and then they tried to trade that pick for something?
Who, the Cavs?
The Cavs tried to trade the second pick for something.
Yeah. I don't think they will. The chances of that happening is real unlikely.
I mean, it's possible.
And they got RJ going to Boston.
It is a possibility.
Mm.
I
don't think we have any of our first round picks next week, bro.
Chill, bro. They said they got Cole Anthony going to the Nets.
Nah, he learned behind Kyrie. He gonna be nasty.
Here's my because I just looking at it. I actually think if the Cavs do get the second pick, I think it's possible that you can see him trying to move the second pick for a player.
Yeah, bro, the Lakers got to get Cassius Winston.
Here's what I'm thinking, though. I'm thinking.
But do y'all have a first round pick?
Yeah, we got the 28th. Bro, the Celtics have 3 first-round picks.
I'm here. We got 14, 26, and 30.
Bro, y'all have to flip 14 and 26 for Drew, bro.
Bro, nah, but here's the thing. If we get Miles Turner, it's either we trade Gordon Hayward and like 26 and maybe like a young player for Miles Turner. Then you got 14 and 30. Then if you want Drew Holiday, you either flip those two and a young player, or you just flip Kemba and 30 for Drew.
I think it's more likely you flip 14 and 26 for Drew.
Unless they do a 3-team trade, we get Drew Holiday, we ship Kemba off somewhere else. We get Drew Holiday, something else. The other team gets Kemba and I guess 30, and the Pelicans get whatever.
I think it's more likely, or it would I think do better, make the trade look more lucrative if you flip 14 and 26 for Drew Holiday and like throw in a player, and then trade Gordon Hayward and 30 for Miles Turner. I think it's, or you can do it the other way around. You can flip 14 and 26 for Miles Turner, send Gordon Hayward and 30 to the Pelicans for Drew Holiday. I think it's more likely that you can trade 14 and 26 to Indiana without having to give up a player than it is that you can trade 14 and 26 to New Orleans without having to give up a player.
We want to get rid of Gordon Hayward because if he opts in, that's $34 million we can get off the books. Plus,
that's true. That is true.
I think Drew Holiday is like $18.1 million, so that's like half of Gordon Hayward's salary.
Right. Well, the other thing too is when you. That's what I'm saying. I think it'll make more sense to go Gordon Hayward and 30 for Miles Turner.
Yeah, because he's under contract until 2023.
Right, and then do 14 and 26. 14 and 26 for Drew Holiday, and they'll probably ask for like some dude.
But then after that, you got to ship Kemba off.
Would you have to ship?
Yeah, because Drew Holiday is good, bro. He's not coming over there to be on the bench, bro. Like he want to.
Drew Holiday a shooting guard?
Yeah, but he handles the ball, so it's gonna be. So if we get Drew Holiday, the starting lineup is already Kemba, Jaylen Brown, Tatum, Gordon Hayward. I'm just saying this regardless of the trade, and then Daniel Tice.
Right.
And the bench is Wanamaker, Marcus Smart, whoever, I guess Semi Ojeleye, Grant Williams, and Robert Williams.
Right.
So it's like, if you get him, he doesn't want to be on the bench. Because if Marcus Smart comes in for Jaylen Brown,
well, here's what I think. I think, and I don't know.
Kind of messes things up.
I think it is possible. I don't know if it'll work, Like I don't know exactly what it'll look like on the court. But just thinking off the top of my head, I mean, if Drew Holiday comes to the Celtics in a trade and you can't offload Kemba, or you choose not to offload Kemba, right? Is starting Kemba at the 1, Drew at the 2, Jalen at the 3, Tatum at the 4, and then whoever the center is that, like, do you think that's an impossible situation? Like, do you think that's
No, but it's top heavy because it's kind of like what we had last season,
okay?
minus everybody shifted down.
I got you.
But if Drew Holiday believes, you know what, I don't feel like I just came in here to contribute. I don't really need a
Right. I mean,
starting
because
role.
you could get a situation where you've got Drew Holiday who would essentially be, I don't want to use the word reduced, but I can't think of really a better word. But it's not a reduction, but it's essentially you got Drew Holiday who, if that is the starting lineup,
Like a diminished role.
I wouldn't say a diminished role relative to. I mean, it would be a diminished role relative to what he has now because he's the best player on that team right now. He comes to Boston, he won't be the best player on that team. I don't even think he'd be the second best player on that team. I don't know. It depends. But you got a situation where Drew Holiday is kind of going to be like a 3-and-D guy and much more off the ball, and that's just a situation where you'd have to see, is Drew Holiday willing to like be a 3-and-D guy and not handle the ball up and down the floor, you know?
Right.
Because if that's the situation where he's willing to do the 3-and-D, I mean, it works. Although,
And then he can also lead. He can always lead the second unit.
He could run with the second unit, and that would balance that could balance it out. And then that's just another situation where, again, it's if he's interested in coming to Boston, what is he willing to do? You know, like, is he willing to run on the second unit if Kemba stays, or is he willing to do the 3-and-D thing on the starting lineup? And if he does want to do 3-and-D on the starting lineup, what does Danny Ainge and the rest of the front office do to boost the bench? Because
Right.
I mean, like you said, the Celtics are one of the more top-heavy teams in the league. I would say the only team that's probably more top-heavy than the Celtics is the Warriors at full strength. Their bench isn't all that great either. But, you know, I think all of it really just – I think the big question mark in all of this is really just Drew Holiday. I think if Drew Holiday is just playing for money, I don't think he'll care what he's doing as long as he's getting money. But Drew Holiday seems like a guy that enjoys playing basketball, enjoys contributing. And so that's something that you got to look at. The other thing I did want to talk about, and I guess with the Russell Westbrook trade rumors happening, it's probably not likely. Let's say for some reason the Russell Westbrook trade falls through, right? And it is clear that there are a number of things wrong with the Rockets. And aside from small ball, I think the biggest thing, and I said this when we first got Russell Westbrook, it is impossible that two guys who lead the league in possession percentage and have led the league in said percentage for over 3 years now, it's impossible for those two guys to coexist in a way that'll bring about a championship. I said that. We're seeing it happen. So let's say for some reason the Clippers trade falls through. With Daryl Morey now being the president of basketball operations over in Philadelphia, is it possible that James Harden gets sent to Philadelphia in a trade if the Westbrook trade to the Clippers falls through? And if so, what would be the best way for Daryl Morey and the 76ers to make that happen?
To get James Harden?
Yes. Because it's obvious if Russell Westbrook gets traded,
Harden's going to stay.
I would imagine and I would hope that they would not also trade James Harden unless they're just going to completely blow everything up. And if they're just going to completely blow everything up, that's a different story. I don't think that's happening though. I think they're just trying to move one of them. So, right, if the Westbrook trade falls through, and now they're looking to trade Harden, it would make sense that the team most likely to want to pursue Harden is Philadelphia because of Daryl Morey. So what would be a trade package that you think?
They said what you call it too.
Who?
What's my man's name? To the Nets.
James Harden to the Nets?
Yeah.
But that's not working, bro. But anyway.
That's not working. That's not working.
Anyway.
Egos.
I have two trade proposals. One, if the Rockets want to stay relevant, you can trade one of Embiid and Simmons first round. I said I have two trades that one, they can stay relevant. Like if you want a star player, you can either get Embiid or Simmons, and maybe I guess some of their bench like Shake Milton, Thibault, and some first round picks.
Okay.
Or if you want the best package where you can fill out your team, you can get Al Horford, Tobias Harris, some of their bench, and multiple first-round picks. So it's like whatever one they want to take.
I think in that situation, the second one is better. The only thing I would say, though, is I think it would also be like a situation where does Daryl Morey – I'm actually going to take that back because I feel like if Daryl Morey thinks that James Harden is available, he'll move mountains to get James Harden, even if that means giving up Al Horford and Tobias Harris. So I'm not even going to say what I was going to say. I just thought about it. The other thing I want to talk about is Chris Paul has been thrown up as a name that could possibly get traded from the Thunder. It's possible that he could end up in Milwaukee with Giannis. He could end up in Phoenix with Devin Booker. He could somehow end up in LA with the Lakers. I don't know.
Who ended up with the Lakers?
Chris Paul.
Nah, bro. I don't want him no more. I don't want him no more.
After what he said, bro.
Bro.
What did
He
he say?
told us he gonna talk about something. He don't want to come play with us because he makes it. He said how much they make it seem like it'd be ring chasing.
And that's not how he wants to finish his career off.
My guy, get a ring.
Like he said he'd rather go to the Clippers because they have no rings and have no playoff success.
Here's what I say about him going to the Clippers. Here's what I say about if Chris Paul ends up back in the Clippers and they win a ring, I think that'd be poetic justice for Chris Paul. Kudos to him. That's not the smartest business decision to make in terms of likelihood of getting a ring, nonetheless. To each his own. If I'm Chris Paul,
if they don't trade Paul,
in my career, I'd probably go to the Lakers, play with LeBron, get a ring, and then ride off into the sunset. You know.
But that's the thing. He doesn't want to do that because they just came. Now it'd be different if the Lakers lost in the conference championship, and like, let's say 80 went down,
right,
like midway through the series, and then they don't make it. Then Chris Paul comes in, they have a healthy 80, they go back, they win the finals, yada yada yada. Right. But that didn't happen. They won the championship. now all them ring chasing ass niggas want to come in, and Chris Paul's not one of those players.
You're right. No, Chris
Bring
Paul.
Bring him in.
You're right. So this
Bring
is
them in.
And I was thinking about this when you're looking at the Suns, who I think are going to be a playoff team this season.
Next season? Without Chris Paul?
The Suns, without Chris Paul, do I think they're going to be a playoff team? Yes, I do.
Okay.
I do. Especially if Chris Paul is not on the Thunder. Like, if Chris Paul's not on the Thunder, it gets traded somewhere else.
As long as he doesn't go to the East. I don't like him on the East.
Well, here's what I'll say. I'll take that back. I would say when you look at the development of Devin Booker, specifically in the bubble, when you look at Monty Williams, who is one of the better coaches in the league, one of the better offensive minds in the league. They've got a young core. They still have DeAndre Ayton, who's really good. They've got Kelly Oubre, who has shown his bright spots throughout the course of last season before it was stopped. And it looks like he's going in a positive direction since he's left DC. I'm not saying they're going to like win the series or anything, or make a run. I think they get in the playoffs as the 7 or 8 seed. I think that is my prediction. I'm saying they get in the playoffs as 7 or 8 seed.
I ain't tripping.
But
bro, do you remember? This is completely off topic, but do you remember when everybody on NBA Twitter was like raving about TJ Warren?
Yes.
I just remembered that phase. It seemed like
that's who it was. Thank you. You just jogged memory back to the Rockets trade with Eric Gordon and PJ Tucker. We can get TJ Warren. I think that's a situation where you trade two guys for one guy, and it makes sense. I think it makes sense. Anyway.
But then I don't even know who his name is.
PJ Tucker and Eric Gordon.
But whoever the Pacers head coach is,
I think it's. Is it Stan Van Gundy? No, it's not Stan Van Gundy.
It's not. His name popped up, but I don't got time to look for that. But whatever his name is, he ain't gonna have no talent to work with. Like if Victor Oladipo leaves, let's be honest, Miles Turner leaves.
Let's be honest, the Pacers haven't had much talent to work with in a minute. Although I will say this though, Domantas Sabonis is the reason why Miles Turner has kind of.
Wait, that's him, bro.
No, he got fired. That's not.
Oh no! Ain't that
He got fired.
Oh yeah.
That's their old.
Oh, his name, Nate Bajorkin.
Wait.
Yeah, it's a different Nate. Yeah, it's a different Nate. It's not that Nate.
Wait, he white, bro?
Who is this guy?
I
don't know.
They just got a new coach. I swear they just got a new coach, bro.
But yeah, they did.
Yeah, they got him in October.
Yeah, that's not him.
What the? Yeah, that's JB Bickerstaff.
Like, I don't know who that is, but it's not.
No,
That's
not the current.
I was like, who the fuck is that?
That was ain't that name like in his name Nate McMillan?
No, yeah, that's who got fired. Wait.
Oh, that is him. Oh, it's Nate Bjorken. Okay, I was wrong.
Who is this guy?
I guess that's their new head coach, bro. What you mean?
I don't know, but this is.
Oh, he was an assistant coach. Oh, he was assistant coach in Toronto.
Okay.
But was he there when they won the ring?
Probably not.
Yeah.
Okay, so he got some credibility.
So he has some credibility. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's something I wanted to talk about. Since we're talking about coaching staffs real quick. The Clippers are trying to load their coaching staff up with just like a whole bunch of people. So they got Ty Lue, who's the head.
A bunch of former players.
They've got Chauncey Billups coming on the scene. Who I don't know what the Clippers are trying to. I do know what the Clippers are trying to do. The Clippers are trying to. They're trying to go about free agency in the offseason in a way that you don't usually see teams go about it. And we don't have much time, so I want to make this real quick. They're trying to tackle the offseason by getting together a coaching staff that has a lot of connections and a lot of guys alike. That works, but you've already got a situation here. There are guys on this team that have dueling personalities. You got Lou Williams. You got Patrick Beverly, who thinks – I don't know what's up with Patrick Beverly, but Pat thinks he's, like, the best – like,
bro, he's not going to be on a team this season, bro.
Like, he thinks he's the best thing since sliced bread, and I don't know –
Pat Bay.
I don't know who told him that.
But I'm about to make Pat Bev a 99 on 2K and play with him.
Look at Keyshawn.
Send Eric Gordon and PJ Tucker to Dallas for his second round picks. They bugging, bro.
I think the Clippers at this point in time, they need
everything. So
point guard, a reliable starting point guard that is going to benefit them offensively, not just defensively. They
thought Reggie Jackson was the answer.
I think Reggie Jackson's a better answer to the problem than Patrick Beverly. That's for sure.
Bro, yeah, but they brought Reggie Jackson off the bench.
That's true.
Shamet.
Whatever.
Landry.
All in all, this is what I'm thinking. All in all, and there are a few things that we know are going to happen this in the offseason and in the draft. We know LaMelo is going to be the first overall pick. I don't think there's any way LaMelo is not the first pick, whether it's the Timberwolves that take him or somebody else. LaMelo is going to be the first pick in the draft. I also think it's likely that pick gets traded because I don't think the Timberwolves need LaMelo if they have D'Angelo Russell, but whatever. I think the Clippers are going to once again do all this stuff to try to beat the Lakers, and they'll forget that there's 14 other teams in the Western Conference and lose to one of them. I think Giannis won't be a buck much longer. I think the Rockets are going to suck this season. And I think the Lakers and the Celtics are going to be the finals.
We could have told you that, bro.
Dang.
That's all for this show. Thank y'all for joining us today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, click the notification bell, comment, share the video.
Hey, somebody buy me a PS5.
Also, if you haven't already, get yourself a PS5 or an Xbox or both. However,
if you get Xbox, add us. We'll drop our gamer tags.
We will. I'll put them in the I'll put them in the description below. So
when we get the console, bro, I'm still holding out, bro.
And as always, enjoy the
I'm
rest.
gonna buy all my stuff at one time. But yeah.
Thank you.